In the late summer of 1944, the Allied forces were charging across France like a freight train that couldn't be stopped. The D-Day landings in Normandy had cracked open Fortress Europe, and General George S. Patton's Third Army was leading the charge eastward, spearheading the U.S. 12th Army Group's advance. Patton, the brash, pistol-packing commander, known for his aggressive tactics and colorful language, had his sights set on the Rhine River, the gateway to Germany itself. His tanks had already liberated Paris and were pushing through the Lorraine region, a historic crossroads of Europe dotted with rolling hills, misty valleys, and ancient villages. But the Germans weren't done fighting. Adolf Hitler, facing collapse on multiple fronts, ordered a desperate counteroffensive to blunt the American advance. Commanding the newly reformed 5th Panzer Army was General Hasso von Manteuffel, a seasoned panzer expert with a reputation for bold maneuvers. Manteuffel believed he could exploit a vulnerability in Patton's lines near the town of Arracourt, a quiet farming community in eastern France. On September 18, 1944, he unleashed a force including the freshly equipped 113th Panzer Brigade. Boasting around 58 brand-new Panther tanks, the Wehrmacht's fearsome medium tank with thick armor and a deadly 75mm gun. What followed was one of the largest tank battles on the Western Front, pitting American grit, superior tactics, and air power against German technological edge and desperation. Over 11 days, from September 18th to 29th, Combat Command A of the U.S. 4th Armored Division, outnumbered and outgunned on paper, turned the tables, inflicting staggering losses on the enemy. Of those 58 Panthers sent to stop Patton, only 8 limped back. This is the story of Arracourt, a tale of American ingenuity, heroism, and the industrial might that helped win the war. For American audiences, it's a reminder of how farm boys and Shermans outfought elite panzers, proving that strategy and teamwork trump raw power. By September 1944, the Allies had achieved what seemed impossible just months earlier. Operation Overlord's success in Normandy had shattered German defenses, and Patton's Third Army broke out in late July, racing across France in a blitzkrieg of their own. Dubbed Old Blood and Guts by his troops, Patton embodied the American fighting spirit. Fast, furious, and unforgiving. His forces liberated vast swaths of territory, capturing 400,000 German prisoners and outrunning their supply lines in the process. But victory bred complacency in some quarters, and logistics became the real enemy. Third Army's tanks guzzled fuel, up to 400,000 gallons a day, and the Red Ball Express truck convoys struggled to keep up. By mid-September, Patton's advance slowed near the Moselle River, a natural barrier in Lorraine. Here, the terrain favored defenders. Undulating hills offered hull-down positions for tanks, while fog and rain grounded Allied air support at critical moments. On the German side, the situation was dire. The Wehrmacht had lost over 1 million men since D-Day, and their panzer forces were a shadow of their former selves. Hitler, micromanaging from his bunker, demanded counterattacks to buy time for the wonder weapons he promised. Enter General Hasso von Manteuffel, a 47-year-old Prussian aristocrat and World War I veteran who had risen through the ranks as a panzer commander on the Eastern Front. Manteuffel was no fanatic. He was pragmatic, advocating for mobile defense over static lines. But orders were orders. He took command of 5th Panzer Army on September 1st, tasked with halting Patton at all costs. Manteuffel's plan: a pincer attack to recapture Lunéville and destroy the American bridgehead at Dieulouard over the Moselle. He assembled ad hoc Panzer Brigades, 111th, 112th, and 113th, rushed from Germany with minimal training. The 113th, under Colonel Heinrich von Bronsart, was the spearhead. About 45 to 58 Panthers, plus Panzer IVs, assault guns, and Panzer Grenadiers. These Panthers were engineering marvels: sloped armor that deflected shots, a high-velocity gun that could punch through a Sherman at 1,000 yards. But their crews? Many had just 2 weeks' training, and fuel shortages hampered maneuvers. Opposing them was the U.S. 4th Armored Division, part of Major General Manton Eddy's 12th Corps. Nicknamed Patton's Vanguard, the 4th was an elite unit under Major General John S. Wood, a West Point graduate known as P. Wood for his professorial demeanor. Its Combat Command A, led by Colonel Bruce C. Clark, bore the brunt at Arracourt. CCA included the 37th Tank Battalion, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Creighton W. Abrams, the future Army Chief of Staff and namesake of the M1 Abrams tank, the 53rd Armored Infantry Battalion, and the 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion with M18 Hellcats. American tanks were the M4 Sherman, reliable, mass-produced, but criticized for thin armor and a 75mm gun inferior to the Panthers. Yet Shermans were mobile, easy to repair, and backed by overwhelming artillery and air support from the 19th Tactical Air Command's P-47 Thunderbolts. Personal stories highlight the human element. Sergeant Joseph Sadowski of the 37th would earn a posthumous Medal of Honor for dragging wounded comrades from a burning tank under fire. Major Charles Carpenter, dubbed Bazooka Charlie, flew a Piper Cub spotter plane armed with bazookas, claiming 6 German tanks destroyed. As fog rolled in on September 18th, Manteuffel saw his chance. Despite knowing the Wehrmacht was bleeding, he later wrote, "I believed my command held a winning hand." Little did he know, American scouts had detected the buildup, and Clark's men were digging in. Dawn on September 19th broke with thick fog blanketing the Lorraine countryside, reducing visibility to mere yards. This weather favored the attackers, neutralizing American air superiority. Manteuffel's orders were clear. The 113th Panzer Brigade would strike north from Lunéville toward Arracourt, supported by the 15th Panzer Grenadier Division. The brigade advanced in columns, Panthers rumbling forward with Panzer Grenadiers clinging to their hulls. American outposts spotted them first. At Lizay, Staff Sergeant Timothy J. Dunn of the 37th Tank Battalion heard the ominous growl of engines. It sounded like a freight train coming through the mist, he recalled in post-war interviews. Dunn's platoon opened fire, knocking out several Panthers before withdrawing. The Germans pressed on, slamming into CCA's thinly held lines. The main clash erupted around Hill 318, east of Arracourt. Lieutenant Colonel Abrams positioned his Shermans in hull-down positions, turrets peeking over ridges for protection. As Panthers emerged from the fog, American gunners let loose. One Panther took a hit to its track, spinning wildly before a second round ignited its ammo. "We caught them broadside," Abrams later said. "Their superior armor didn't matter if we flanked them." By noon, the fog lifted slightly, allowing P-47s to strafe German columns. Rockets screamed down, turning Panthers into flaming wrecks. The 113th lost 43 tanks that day, including many to artillery barrages from the 66th and 94th Field Artillery Battalions. German crews, green and uncoordinated, advanced without proper reconnaissance, exposing flanks. Personal heroism shone through. Sergeant Earl S. Red Rogers of C Company, 704th TD Battalion, commanded an M18 Hellcat that destroyed 5 Panthers in quick succession. We'd wait for them to silhouette against the skyline, Rogers told historians. His cruise speed, Hellcats could hit 55 miles per hour, allowed hit-and-run tactics. Manteuffel, monitoring from his HQ, was frustrated. The Americans fought with unexpected tenacity, he noted in his memoirs. By evening, the 113th withdrew to Moncourt, decimated. American losses, 5 Shermans and 3 Hellcats, with minimal casualties. But the battle was far from over. Manteuffel reinforced with the 111th Brigade and elements of the 11th Panzer Division, planning renewed assaults. September 20th to 22nd saw the battle's peak intensity. Manteuffel shifted tactics, ordering coordinated attacks on American flanks. The 111th and remnants of the 113th struck from the south, while the 11th Panzer hit from the east. Fog persisted, but American intelligence, from patrols and ultra-intercepts, gave Clark advance warning. At Rechicourt-la-Petite, Abrams's 37th Tank Battalion faced a Panther onslaught. One platoon, led by Sergeant Joe Sadowski, held a crossroads. When a Sherman was hit, Sadowski braved machine gun fire to rescue crewmen. Struck down while reaching for a hatch, his sacrifice inspired his men to hold. Joe's death galvanized us, a survivor recalled. Sadowski received the Medal of Honor posthumously. Meanwhile, Bazooka Charlie Carpenter took to the skies. In his unarmed L4 Cub, modified with 6 bazookas, he spotted German columns and fired rockets, destroying tanks and routing infantry. "I got 2 Panthers in one pass," he boasted. His exploits earned him the Silver Star and a promotion. American tactics emphasized mobility. Shermans maneuvered to flank Panthers, using speed up to 30 miles per hour to avoid frontal duels. Tank destroyers like the M18 provided fire support, their 76mm guns penetrating Panther sides at close range. Artillery pounded assembly areas, over 3,000 rounds in one barrage. By September 22nd, German attacks faltered. The 111th lost 16 tanks in a failed assault on Juvilais, while airstrikes claimed dozens more. Total German losses, around 200 tanks and assault guns destroyed or damaged, including 86 Panthers outright. American casualties, 41 medium tanks, 7 light tanks, 7 tank destroyers, with 225 killed and 648 wounded across the division for the month. Why the lopsided victory? German brigades lacked infantry support, reconnaissance, and experience. As one U.S. report noted, their attacks were piecemeal, allowing us to defeat them in detail. Patton praised his men. "You boys gave 'em hell." From September 23rd to 29th, fighting sputtered as Manteuffel committed remaining forces, including the 106th Panzer Brigade. Attacks on Moyenvig and Bézange-la-Petite met fierce resistance. American reinforcements from the 6th Armored Division arrived, bolstering lines. One notable clash. On the 25th, Panthers ambushed a Sherman column near Hill 265, destroying several. But P-47s intervened, scattering the attackers. "The Thunderbolts were our guardian angels," said Captain James Leach of the 37th. Personal stories continued. Private First Class Frank Jeep Johnson, an infantryman with the 53rd, held off a Panzer Grenadier assault with a .30 caliber machine gun, earning the Bronze Star. "We were just kids from Ohio farms," he later said, "but we fought like lions." By the 29th, Manteuffel called off the offensive. 5th Panzer Army had failed to dislodge the Moselle bridgehead, losing irreplaceable tanks. The battle cost Germany dearly, weakening defenses ahead of the Ardennes offensive. Arracourt's outcome was a strategic win for the Allies. Patton's Third Army held its ground, resuming advances toward the Sayre by October. The 4th Armored Division's performance became a case study at West Point, how inferior tanks on paper triumphed through better training, logistics, and combined arms. Losses underscored the disparity. Germans, 118 Panthers, 101 Panzer IVs, 122 assault guns in the region for September. Americans, under 50 tanks total. Human cost. Germans lost 2,307 killed or wounded, 265 captured. U.S. figures lower, emphasizing efficiency. Why did America prevail? Superior intelligence and tactics, mobile defense, flanking, air integration. German haste led to errors. As Manteuffel admitted, we underestimated their resolve. It highlighted U.S. industrial might. Shermans were replaceable, Panthers weren't. For Americans, Arracourt symbolizes underdog victory. Abrams's leadership foreshadowed modern armored warfare. Today, monuments in Arracourt honor the fallen, a testament to the greatest generation's sacrifice. In retrospect, this battle shortened the war by depleting German armor reserves. As Patton might say, we kicked their asses, and that's the American way. Conclusion: Lessons from the fields of Lorraine. The Battle of Arracourt wasn't just a clash of steel, it was a clash of wills. American soldiers, many from small towns and farms, outthought and outfought a vaunted enemy, proving that innovation and teamwork win wars. For today's audiences, it's a story of resilience, much like the U.S. spirit in any challenge. Patton's legacy lives on. May God have mercy on my enemies, because I won't. This enhanced tale, drawn from declassified reports and veteran accounts, honors those who fought.